Hello, this is Dr. Mears. Today we are going to look at examples and understand what the variables are, how the problem is written. And then I'm going to show you how to graph it on Desmos and where to find the answers so that you can understand the problem and the numbers that are being assigned to each variable. So without further ado, let's go. Here you see I'm sharing my screen, and this is a Khan Academy example. It is copywritten, so that's why I have that little C next to Khan example. I do not own the rights to Khan. I am just simply helping students to understand how to read these examples and pull out the important information. So here is one example that you may have seen in my class, and I'm going to help you read it because it's a little bit different than how you may see other problems written in other books or other types of examples that I give you. So the problem reads, the fish population in a certain part of the ocean in thousands of fish as a function of the water's temperature in degrees Celsius is modeled by P of x equals negative 2x squared plus 40x minus 72. Which temperature will result in no fish, meaning zero population? We have to enter the lower temperature first, and it has lower temperature and then the blank, and that's where you enter it, and then the higher temperature. Now, in reading this problem, I am going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to direct you back to my little title page here. I have written this problem out so that I could go through with you to help you assign meaning to the variables. So here we have the fish population in a certain part of the ocean in thousands as a function of the water's temperature. So when we see fish population, that is going to be our P. So this is our Y. So our population is going to be our Y variable. And it's written as P of X because this just means population as a function of X. And so as a function of X, which is the water's temperature. So our X variable is our water temp. So if we were to look at the graph of this, which we're going to do in a minute, but we're going to be doing it on Desmos, the X variable would be the temperature, and the P of X variable, which is this is our Y axis. Remember, it can just be labeled a couple different things. So this is just labeled P of X. This is the population of fish. So X is temperature, P of X is population of fish. So I don't want you to get necessarily confused when they say as a function of. You just really have to look to see what is a function of what. So if population, P, is a function of temperature, X, then that just makes your Y axis, or the P, the population, and the X, the temperature. And you can always find what X is. They'll tell you whatever follows as a function, is usually your X variable. So let's now that we know that X is temperature and P is population, P of X is population, let's go back to graph this on Desmos. And I am going to share my screen once again. And I want to show you, a lot of people have been trying to copy this over and paste it into Desmos. And I want to show you what happens. So here I go, I copied it and I'm going to paste it in. When I paste it in, all of a sudden you get something that looks like this. And that is not good. So we don't really want to cut and paste it in. So let's just X this out and let's put in, you may have to write down the problem unless you can memorize everything. Negative 2x. Now we need to get the squared. Either you can come down here to this keypad and shows keypad, and this is the little square button. And if you push this, it'll give you an x squared, a little square on top, and you'll be all set. A lot of other people just like to use the key Shift-6, and you can do that as well. Either way works. Let's put in the rest of it. And double checking that it's correct. P of x equals -2x squared plus 40x minus 72. That is correct. And now a lot of students get nervous here because they're like, oh no, I know it's supposed to look like either a U or an upside down U, and I see a line. This just means that you're going to have to either zoom in or zoom out. I'm thinking since this is such a close line, we're going to have to zoom out. Your zoom options are over here on the right. Here it says if you just hover over the plus sign, that's zooming in. That brings you closer to the picture. We don't want that. We want to zoom out. So we're just going to go to zoom out here if you hover over the minus. So just like you're taking a picture, if you want to zoom in and zoom out, you can do so. So zooming out a little bit more, there we go. Now we see this is a very skinny parabola. And now we see many of our points. We have our y-intercept at 0, -72. We have our vertex, which is our maximum here because it's the highest point of our graph, so it's the maximum at 10, 28. But going back to the problem, let's see what they actually wanted from the problem. And I'm gonna get a different color here. They wanted which temperature will result in no fish, meaning 0 population. So what they're looking for when we have 0 population, if we're looking at this, remember this is X and this is P of X. So the P of X is population. So they want 0 here. So they're looking for our X-intercepts. So when they ask for your Y to be 0, they're looking for the X-intercept. So down here, they want to know where is it crossing the X-axis. This is where our population is 0. So let's go find that. And they want the lower temperature and then the higher temperature. So on our graph, we don't need these points. So let's just unclick these points. And let's re-click here and here. These are our X-intercepts. Here's P of X, which is 0. P of X, which is 0. So our first temperature, the lower one, is 2. And the second temperature is 18. So what we would put in is we would put the lower temperature as 2 and the higher temperature as 18. We found our X-intercepts. This one was 2. This one was 18. That's what we needed from the problem, and we are good to go. So I really, really highly suggest taking the time to make sure you find out what your Y variables are, what your X variables are, what you're looking for specifically, whether it be the intercepts, whether it be a maximum, whether it be a minimum, and then graphing it using Desmos, being careful not to cut and paste, rather write it in and double check it, and then clicking on the points that you need on Desmos. This has been Dr. Mears reading through Khan Academy examples, understanding how to assign variables, how to graph on Desmos, and how to locate our answer. Hope it helped. Thank you very much, and I will see everybody soon.